Hey folks, Jake and I are here to shoot a contest entry for Jeff Kempin's 300 subs contest. Jeff has a great channel. He shows a lot of classic rock. He shows a lot of variety. I always enjoy watching his stuff. And so Jake and I thought we would shoot a video to support his channel. Not that he really needs my help. But he can maybe use Jake's help. Isn't that right, buddy? Anyway, he's asked 3 questions, and it's fairly simple, so we'll just jump right into it. First, he asked for a favorite debut album. So, without question, that's this album, Rust Taff, Walls of Glass. This came out in 1983. It was Russ's first solo album. Prior to this, he had been singing in a Christian vocal group called the Imperials. I also have it on vinyl. But if you look closely right here, there's a smudge on there. I actually took this album for him to autograph last year at the Russ and Tori Taft Bell Buckle Weekend. But stupid me, after he signed it, wasn't paying attention. I put it back in the box, and it smeared. So I'm probably going to try to get another copy and maybe take it to him to sign. This album, like his second album, Metals, maybe feel just a little dated. But the musicianship on this album was just absolutely stellar, and his vocals. My youth pastor at the time, I was going to Gethsemane Baptist Church in Danville, as I had to think for a minute. And my youth pastor at the time, Mike Osborne, he had picked up the album, and he had used the stereo to record the album onto a cassette tape. And so he brought that cassette tape on a youth choir tour that we were doing. I think it was spring break, if I'm not mistaken. I think we were just going to sing in a few churches on our way to Myrtle Beach, sing on a few churches after having spent a day or two there, a couple more churches on the way back. And so he let me borrow that cassette, and I don't think he saw it the rest of the trip because I was just that blown away by Russ's voice. Great songs on here, and his voice just was something out of this world to me. And so came back, I bought a cassette of this and promptly wore it out. Let you see the back cover of the album. There's a good picture of Russ and Tori. Such great people. I really enjoyed meeting them last year. Inner sleeve. Russ with the band. This was just a phenomenal. He won, and just lyrics on this side. He won a Grammy for this album, and the song there. I mean, there are a lot of great songs on this album, but he wrote one called "We Will Stand," and that song has kind of become one of the great Christian anthems promoting unity that is still a major song to this day. But yeah, brilliant, brilliant album. It's Russ Taff, Walls of Glass. Don't know what else to say about this album except that it was just that great. I'm noticing too that on one of the songs, Reba Rambo and Donnie McGuire sang backup on this album, and I happened to meet Reba Rambo and Donnie McGuire last year at the Bell Buckle reunion. Trying to see. I also met a wonderful couple, Larry Hall and his wife, and I can't remember her name, but they were just great people, and Larry played keyboards in his band at this time. Just, yeah, I just love this album. Anyway, that is my favorite debut. Let me keep going. Man, we're already 6 minutes in because I just get me talking about Russ and I just go on and on and on. So, talking about toughest albums to get. I have been looking, this is Matthew Ward, Armed and Dangerous. Matthew Ward's one of the vocalists in the group Second Chapter of Acts. He put out this album, Armed and Dangerous, which is, again, a 86 recording. And it maybe feels slightly dated because it's kind of synth heavy as well. But again, Matthew Ward is just a stellar vocalist. The songs on here are good, and Dan Huff, who played for Giant, threw on some really tasty guitar licks on this album. So when the guitars do kick in on this album, they're fantastic. There is a song on the second side of this called Love. You might want to Google that, Matthew Ward, Love. It is just one of those epic songs that has a couple of different, it feels like one song 1 minute then changes, and it's just epic. But this whole album is just brilliant. This was a time where I guess they weren't doing a lot of CDs. So the CDs on this, which was what I chased for a long time, probably have run at least, depending upon when I've looked, at least 40, sometimes up in the 70s. I'm just not going to pay that for an album. And in fact, I still don't own this on CD. I did find a reasonable copy on vinyl and obviously picked it up. So, and I'm very glad to have it. Great, great album. Now, the final one is favorite album from a genre of music that isn't really preferred. And I'm all over the map from metal, blues, rock, jazz, country. So what does that leave me? I do like some classical. And as far as, I guess, what you would consider classical music, this album is as powerful as anything I've ever heard. And what I've got here is the Empire Strikes Back soundtrack. John Williams is just a genius. I did not have the Star Wars, the original Star Wars albums growing up, but this is my copy from the 70s, or well, not from the 70s, this would have been 1980. So this is my copy from 1980. You can see it's got some ring wear on it. I don't really need to talk too much about why it's one of my favorite. John Williams has done some outstanding work over the years. I'm sure everyone is familiar with his stuff, and the Star Wars stuff is my absolute favorite, though I think that his work on Superman was outstanding as well. It's got a booklet in it. With some cool pictures. So yeah, I loved this album growing up. And it came out on RSO. Well, let's see here. There we go. And that is Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back, the original soundtrack, John Williams. And that is my entry. So I'm going to get off here and try to get something to eat and get this uploaded before I fall asleep. And I'm going to make this deadline. So anyway, thank you for hanging out and looking at a few records with me. And we'll catch us real soon. So for Jake and myself, have a great week.